Happy Friday, Growth Council. I hope everybody's doing well. I wanted to, first of all, apologize for the radio silence for the last couple of weeks. Emma, Scott, and I were going through some details about the dates for Growth Council meetings for the fall. As it turns out, those dates conflicted with the board of directors commitments that they had. So now we will be having our Growth Council meetings on the third Tuesday of the month at 8:30 a.m., which I hope it works better for most of you. And with the exception of September, which will be on the 24th, just because of time, to give you enough time to to plan ahead and put it on the calendar, and hopefully most of you can join us that day. I also wanted to take this opportunity to share with you some of the big takeaways from the strategy retreat from 3 weeks ago, which was really fun. A lot of really good, fun ideas that came up. I especially wanted to give a big shout out to Marie, to Matt, Scott, and to Shakir for all your insights and contributions. And understanding that the rest of the group wasn't able to be in the room, I wanted to share this video so that we can all start getting on the same page ahead of the next meeting and are able to start having really meaningful conversations right away. Of course, I won't go into a lot of details. Most of it are on the minutes that which I shared on the email as well. And we'll, of course, go deeper in our next meetings. But just as a big picture roadmap for where we decided that would be the most impactful wave going forward, is that Scott and Emma shared with us that a feasibility study was conducted in the last year to explore how ready LearnServe is to run a multi-million-dollar capital campaign. And as it turns out, the organization doesn't yet have a large enough donor base to carry that out. And so their first stepping stone towards that goal will be to start a major gifts program that supports capacity building for LearnServe. And in that big context, one of the biggest challenges that they're facing because of capacity and because of simply not enough hands to do all the work is being able to effectively and continuously communicate with donors and with the community as a whole to keep them engaged, to increase their support, of course, grow the donor base. And they share with us that for LearnServe, as this major gifts program gets off the ground, their biggest goal for this coming year would be to reach 60 to 70 $5,000 or more donors, which is kind of like a threshold that they have as a good, meaningful, significant amount. But in terms of what this means for for the Growth Council as a whole, for our goals and how we're going to engage for the next year, there were two big items, which were the finding ways for us as Growth Council members to be strategically in front of more audiences, and second, to support the team, the LearnServe team, in improving their communications capacity and effectiveness so that donors, volunteers, and the community at large can step into the LearnServe experience and they can understand better how their contributions directly impact, that they have direct outcomes, and finding more good creative ways to highlight that will be a good challenge that will hopefully we'll be able to tackle and help support this year. So we had a really fun brainstorming exercise or design challenge, which was essentially like how do we leverage our volunteers like the Growth Council to better communicate the message in a more compelling way, finding ways to show those stakeholders who cannot always be in the room with students what it's like. What is this experience that students that are stepping into the LearnServe curriculum through the very different programs are having, right? So, as a result of all of this exercise, all of our ideas fell into three different themes, three very distinct themes. One is communications, one is events, and one's development. So we decided that rather than all of us as a group uh, being involved in every single little initiative, what we could do is leverage our different expertise and, of course, the scale of having a handful of people tackle very specific problems that we could subdivide, create some subcommittees that match those themes for like very specific initiatives, kind of like, let's call them like small ventures within the Growth Council. And of course, we'll all be involved in the bigger picture events and bigger picture initiatives. But by subdividing into small subcommittees, we're able to probably tackle and get deeper in actually executing and carrying out initiatives. So the idea is that each of you, based on your interest, your skills, what is it that excites you the most, think about before our next meeting, where would you feel that you want to be most engaged, in which subcommittee. I have described many of those ideas that came up under each subcommittee. They're actually really fun and exciting, and of course, we're always welcome to more ideas as each group forms and has some discussions. What the other benefit of these subcommittees is that we'll be able to have a um, more of an agenda throughout the year, and the roadmap will be much more clear. Even during our discussions every month, we'll be able to each subcommittee report on where we're at and how we can all support each other. And then also LearnServe, and of course Emma and Scott representing LearnServe, give us feedback as to where we can actually be able to support them even more. And at the end of the day, of course, that those subcommittees are they'll be more autonomous, so that they'll be less flowing through, I guess, me as a central focal point, but you can actually have very direct interactions with LearnServe throughout that. So I hope that is relatively clear. I know there's probably a lot of really good conversations to be had. I welcome any questions, anything that you want to clarify, any ideas that you have that will be fantastic. You can always email me, or we can bring them up during the next meeting. And I invite you to run through some of those through the minutes, so you can actually get a better feel for what we decided that would be a roadmap, and some action items that will primarily be coming from, at this point, from either LearnServe or from me to kind of like get all of us set up, such as having a central repository for all of our documentation, having a central calendar for where you can see not just Growth Council things, but also the bigger picture calendar for LearnServe. I hope everybody has a really amazing weekend, and I really look forward to talking to you very soon.